What? You go to class soon. Yes, you go to class soon. What's 3 minus 15? You don't know.
5 minutes.
12 minutes.
12 more minutes.
Now you are 11 minutes. Go away.
Do I need my math book?
Yes, please. Chapter 8. Well, actually, I don't know. But don't you got testing this week?
Oh, we finished.
No, you still got testing this Friday. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Like, I'm not done yet.
No, you're not.
What am I not? What test do I need to do?
You're not done. You got tests on Friday.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh no, your belly is traveling.
You know, it's just
No, get out.
when you're sleeping, how much you call?
Oh yeah. You sure I'm sleeping today?
When you're probably when you're done with class and you're feeling tired, coffee.
Oh, you gotta go away. I like coffee.
Coffee.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Coffee.
Get out of here. Me joining my class now. Go away. You got 10 minutes of class. Get ready, Danny. Go. Go your room. Evil baby. Go your room. Because you're still here. Get out of here. Yeah, I saw you. Here, now go.
Everyone is time for coffee.
I've got 8 minutes. Go away.
8 minutes.
Go.
Me?
There you.
Mandy, you give me 5 minutes to get coffee. 5 more minutes to get coffee. What time do you go back? Mandy, are you going back?
Oh, my not the first. Am I? What? We got 5 minutes. Yeah, you.
Where's my balloon?
Pop Salama. Go to your room, lah. 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
What can I have the coffee?
Can you go to your room?
Tell me when you're done with then I can steal the coffee.
morning. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Professor.
How are you dealing with this cold? You know, our internet has been freezing for this, and for Zoom and for D2L. It's unbelievable, but I'm glad we were able to get it. Let's give everyone a few minutes, okay, hon?
Professor, Jerson is not coming to class. He told me to let
Okay.
you know.
Okay, sweetie. Do you know, how are you all doing with your lesson plans? How is your lesson plan coming?
I didn't even start yet.
Evie, Alondra, Mandy, Lato,
Personally, for me, I think it's coming out.
Yes,
I could hear you.
Okay, how?
Go to class, Lana. Get ready, Lana. 2 minutes.
Not right now. I think I haven't hit a dead end yet on it. I kind of have experience with making a lesson plan just because I worked at a facility before, a daycare facility. So I assisted in making themes for the week and all of that. So I kind of have a little bit of experience with that.
So let's choose, did we choose a date for this group? I know I have it for the other groups. So what date did I give you? I have my 302-2 that I already
It
have
was
a
in
date.
March. Give me.
In March, right? Yeah, because I'm trying to give everyone enough time. Let's see.
I think it was March 4th.
Yeah, it was March
4th. Yes. It's March 4th, and I better put it in both calendars. So I carry one special for, yes, 302, yes, that one. All right, so you still have 1, 2. I'm going to do something. The Tuesday, let's see. I think we should be fine. Because Thursday, I want to ask you if, unless you're not ready, and it's not going to be a difficult midterm, it's going to be essay questions. So what I will do is on Thursday, I will present to you your questions that I will be going over with you to clarify and make sure that you understand what I want you to do. It's going to be 5 questions to choose 4, and it's going to be all about what we've talked about. So the last thing I want to do is create anxiety for you. So on Thursday, I was going to say I'll give you Thursday to work on your lesson plan, but we can do that on another day. I prefer to give you the talk about the questions and send you off to work on it, and then see if by Tuesday you could post your lesson. You can have those lesson plans ready, and then by Tuesday you can have your midterms completed. Does that make sense to you? Does that help?
That's
A little bit. Okay, so if I go over it on Thursday, you'll have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday is when it would be due. And so that should give you enough time. Okay, that's our midterm. So I have that all on my second calendar. And so no questions so far. I'm going to start with asking you if you were able to open my messages that I sent through D2L and your emails. I always duplicate. So tell me what
I
you
do
were
have
able.
a question about the midterm. So this
Yes.
is my first semester taking an online class. Can you tell me how you're going to administer the exam?
I will send you in 2 ways. The email questions, I will email, and in D2L. So because I always worry that some students cannot open D2L, and I want to make sure you have to respond to D2L. In D2L, I'll be happy. And if you have trouble responding to the questions in D2L, you can email them to me. Is that
Yes,
fair enough?
thank you.
Okay. No, you're welcome. So let me begin. I have Mandy. Today is 02 16. Mandy, I see your name. Alondra. You don't have a large class, so I'll do this very fast. Evie. Latoya. I want you to think of questions for me. Yeah, I see you, hon. Think of questions. I want you to walk away from this course not saying I didn't understand something. I want to know that you're okay. And if there's anything I need to clarify, I want you to ask me. Okay, So I can only see 8 names, and I'm missing 3. While I do this, I need you to think about something for me. Think about anything you couldn't open. I sent D2 information on D12. It was a QAR and root taxonomy. Were you able to open that?
Yes.
Yeah, I opened the screen very wide so I can see you. Okay, I can see all the names. So far, like I said, I only see a few names here I'm missing. So what, were you able to open your D12 and or you got it in your email as well, or?
Yes,
let me know,
please.
because that's
3
important.
minutes.
I'm looking
You
at
3
this
minutes late. Look.
time. And so because the scholar presentations I counted from the theorists that you all did, you had 2 theorists, so I'm not worried about the scholar presentation. The paper, the scholar paper due, you already have covered that. What I want you to know is that program types of childcare, that I will go through today, plus the chapter 10 that talks about school readiness. So you see where it says work on a program chart in class. We're not in class, so I would like to work on that with you, tell you the different types of early childhood programs, and that's not hard for me to cover. If we were in the classroom, I'd sit you in groups and then you'd be working on a chart for that, but I can't do that. We have talked about, as you are looking to see federal and state programs, we know which is your federal program. Who can remember? What are the federal, what's the federal program? Which is the federal? Head Start or preschool? Who remembers that?
Isn't it Head Start?
Head Start is, yes, very good, Evie. The Head Start is funded by the federal government, and that's one of the stuff that I'm covering that quickly because it's in your syllabus. And it's very easy to remember. In the 60s, the federal government came up with the Head Start program because people were, and this is the truth, I don't remember who the president was, but he was actually trying to get people off public assistance, because at that time, before Head Start and preschool started, remember, preschool is funded by the state, and it's so far only half day, but there's preschool for all, so that people who can pay will pay on a sliding scale. But let's move on about why these 2 programs are so important, and that's why they want us to inform you about them. Head Start, so people were having babies and babies and babies. If you had 9 babies and you were getting $500 a month for a child, it was a negative incentive for parents who were, of course, and without judging them, they were having babies without, and just until a certain age, and then when the money would be removed, they would have no recourses because these poor parents wouldn't have education or the degrees to find a job. So what the president did at that time, whichever president was, and I should know by now, that part was not as important. It was established that parents would have a place to bring their children to, and then they can go study or they can find jobs. And everything would be provided for them for free. And the objective was that they would eventually get some form of degree or certificate to qualify them to work and ease off from public assistance, not completely. But the idea of every time you have a baby, you get an extra check was what also was one of the political reasons, even though they actually say, and I believe it too, that if a parent did not have where to bring the children to, how can we expect them to go study or to find a job? So it did make sense, right? So one of the things that they came up with is they would look at the income of the families and they would have a sliding scale for the Head Start. You qualify if your home income is under a certain amount of money. And I'm going to explain this quickly because I have other things I want to cover with you. And so what would happen is, when I retired from principalship, it was 2012. And the the ceiling was you couldn't make more than 28,000 as a household income. Well, that was not working because 28,000 could hardly keep up a family of 4 or 3 or even 2 if there was a single parent or both parents working. So what they decided to do was to work around that scale and say, okay, you can't earn more than 32,000. That would, they keep raising the ceiling each time. And we will accept your child because it's based on income, the qualification for Head Start. It's federal and it's based on income of the family. So what they did was they decided that, let's say you make in your household 32,000. I don't know what the ceiling is this year, kept going up. But you have 4 children versus Ariel who has 1. Well, if you have 4, it's not going to be the 32,000 ceiling for you. They will make it a sliding scale for every child in addition to the 1. So that was feasible for families. And so people were more happy and able to, at 3 years old, they were bringing them to a center or a daycare, or when the public schools had the 3-year-olds, they would bring them and parents could, they were not expected to go home and just have a free day or a shopping day. The idea was to have them go and find jobs and to go to school and to show that they're registered in school. Now, I don't know if they monitor that or what. The next thing is that preschool then was a state-funded program, and preschool funded funded this program in all public schools, but they didn't fund for. It's not called preschool in the home cares and in the centers. It's under a different program. But in the Chicago public schools and all the suburban public schools, the preschools are funded, but they only offer money for half a day. What this governor is trying to do is to open up the preschools in all the public schools across Illinois. And so you, from 3 years old, you can have your child all day long in a public school for free.
No,
Well, with the
I'm in class,
pandemic,
go away.
this was not materialized.
Go
So
fuck
very
you,
few
Lord,
schools
boy.
have a free all-day
I don't know,
preschool.
go away lah.
But then you do have some that have it, but it's called preschool for all, where if you're a working parent and you're making 40, 50,000 a year, and you want your child in a preschool versus because a Head Start will not accept your child because it's based on income, you can bring your child to a preschool, but you will pay. You will pay according to your high wages. So some teachers, and for example, wanted their children in my Chicago public school, and they worked at my school, and they wanted to have their children, 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, in the preschool. They knew they didn't qualify for Head Start because of their high income. So this is a good example. And yes, they brought their children to my preschools because I had preschool all the way to 8th grade. But they would pay. Some of them were paying $450 a month. Others, if their salary was less, they were paying $350. So it became kind of counterproductive for some of them who wanted their children in private school. And they would say, you know what? I could be paying this in a private school for my child and give my child a private school education if indeed it wasn't a problem for them to travel to pick up and to take their children. Maybe they had someone to pick up and take. So yeah, it is very high for a person who is working to pay $400 a month for a public school, for preschool. Yes, and if they can go into a private education for them, they will do it. Any questions on the difference between the two and why this was established? Okay, that's clear, right? So that covers part of the types of program. You have done your philosophy papers, so we are up to date with that, except for your midterm. And it talks about quizzes, and I'm not going to give you those. I'm going to hope that you all do well in your lesson plan and your participation. And so let's move on to what I want to cover today, if you don't have a question, okay? I'm still missing, I have Mandy, I'm sorry, I have, yes, Mandy, Alondra, Evie, Latoya, Victoria, Yesenia, Diana, Sarah. If somebody else joined me, I haven't added you. And so let me know that you are there because I don't see you. Any questions for Ms. Master? Any concerns? So before I go into a QAR, how many of you were able to open your QAR and your Bloom taxonomy information that I sent you? Who did not? Who could not open it? So Latoya, Evie, Victoria, Mandy, Alondra, Yesenia, Diana, Sarah, and Ariel, were you able to open?
Yeah.
Yes, I was able to open it and print
Okay,
it.
good. Good, there's not a problem then. So I want you to address that because it will be part of the midterm. I think I have to put,
Where
you
is
know,
it located?
I didn't write your name down, Ariel. So Ariel, are you able to hear me? Ariel? Ariel, could you put your microphone on? Ariel? Can't hear me? Okay.
So both are going to be on the midterm. Both the Bloom taxonomy and
Yes, I will address that.
Okay.
I want you that you see how that beautiful comparison is there. Were you
Uh-huh.
able to read it? Because I couldn't go to the office to scan it. And my other class said that yes, they could see it, but I don't know if it's legible enough. What I wanted to do is go scan it for you, but I can't leave home. We're stuck with snow and bad weather, and my office is closed.
Professor, Ariel's mic is not working.
Yes, okay, I did see the message, and thank you for that chat and for the information. I appreciate your helping us with this. So is there any, can you read, Latoya, were you able to read what I sent? Was it legible?
yeah, and also I see Ariel had found I think that was her, might be mistaken, a clear copy of it. And so she had posted in the group the last class meeting.
Yes, it is perfect. And this is universal. The thing that I want you to keep this, as I tell you, everything I give you is for you to be able to reach that point of NTPA preparation, besides the foundation. And remember, in your area exam, which is going to be for your O4 certificate, you will also keep summary of those important theories. They're going to say, who said this, Piaget or Erickson, you know, they play that stuff on you. But basically, your questions of higher thinking this will be useful for you. Don't forget where you put that. As I said to my other students, and I always say, keep every course information. I have a set of flash, not because I'm ridiculous. Each of those flash belongs to either Northeastern, Loyola, whatever, you know, different places I work for, or my own personal stuff. And I keep for example, if I were you, whatever way you keep your files, I would say this was my 302-1 course, and then you give some ideas as to what is in there and save it. If not, pass it on to a flash or some other place you can find it. It will be useful because everything that you ask in your NTPA, even though it sounds a little bit far, it's not. You are now into your third year, you've done your associates. You will be hearing NTPA, and you may even have me for this week 25 children's lit class, and then I will reiterate why you know this Bloom's taxonomy and the QAR. It's all about getting children to higher order thinking, getting them higher so that the QAR, and I won't cover that today, the QAR talks about right there, authoring me on my own, and so it actually crosses over and tells you what level of Bloom taxonomy it is addressing. And why do we do that? Because we want to, it's all about questioning techniques. I should summarize it that way. The questioning techniques that will bring children to higher thinking. Tell me more. How did you find that answer? Where did you go for it? Or did you use experience that you have had? Put it with the author's message and you came up with that rich response, okay? So we do want you to know, or author and me, oh, the author said it, I went back and I found it, and that is a higher level of comprehension. So that's where he said it, that the first year we sent somebody to the moon was so and such a year. And then you ask the child. It's a beautiful way of developing rapport with the young child, plus and asking the child to check with the author what the remembers that the author said it, go find it and tell us where he sent it. And so it is a beautiful, beautiful combination. And that's why I always not just want to teach Bloom's taxonomy, but bringing QAR. Keep it. Because when you're doing your questionings in your lesson, for lessons for EdTPA, you'll be doing quite a bit of practice. Your questions must be at those higher levels. Don't just be at the who, what, when, where, how, or just author or author and me. You gotta go beyond that on my own. And so this analysis, this comparison will be helpful. Ariel, thank you for sending it off to your classmates, a clearer picture. I would have scanned all this for you, but I'm not going to the office. They told us to stay away from, not just their teaching, but my other office. And I don't have a scanner at home. So I think we're okay, yes? If not, I will move on. So one of the things that I want to talk to you, oh, you also have the Charlotte Danielson's domains. Did you get that? Will one person just tell me that they were able?
Did. Yeah.
Very good. That's another package that you need to have for when you're doing your other courses for EdTPA. So when I leave you or you leave me, you will be remembering that yes, I touched upon all this stuff. I went beyond your syllabus. And one of the things that I wanted to really talk to you about in addition is, when I'm done with this, I want to talk about your classroom climate, which you will need to know why you're doing early childhood program. But first of all, if you want to take notes, and I will not keep you beyond 1 o'clock today for one reason. I want to send you off to start working on that lesson plan. And then because you will have a midterm and I want to have you discuss that with me on Wednesday and cover 2 more chapters. So I will be taking some time to give you notes today. And it's all about chapter 10. How do we know that the child is ready for school, and what part do you play? When a child is brought to school by the parent, chapter 10 will tell us that we take it for granted that the child has had his phonemic awareness, all that his genes plus the environment impacted his development to that extent. But as we know, every child has an individual situation, an individual difference, etc. So we don't put them all in the one cluster, yet they all in one cluster, you should have a high expectation for all. Only that sometimes some start here, you gotta bring them up to here. Some start here, it's easier to bring them here, but you do not neglect those that are here because you can work with them in small groups to see that they move up. So I cannot let you believe that 100% of your students will reach your goal or your expectation, or I should say what it is, the standards that you're teaching to that age group. And how do we know they've mastered it? Because of the assessments, performance assessments, written assessments, or oral assessments, whatever you use. And so you will be able to determine. And if you get 80% of your students that have mastered the standards for that grade level, you can dictate it yourself. The others that don't, you do not ignore them, but you already have started an anecdotal as to why has caused them not to master what you did, even though you went overboard in having small groups, in being individual, like Vygotsky says, the zone of proximal development, and the child is still not getting it. But 80% is what. If at any time 50% of your students are not successful and 50 only were, then you have to question yourself. What is it that I did wrong? Do I have to redo my strategies? Do I have to choose new strategies? You cannot become comfortable with 50 students, 50% passing and 50 not. Even 60, I would venture to say 40% didn't get it. Why? 70, okay. The 30%, if I get 10 of those to get it, because I will have a small group setting for them and give them that little aha, and then you see the aha, they join the other 60%. So you do it in increments, that's fine, but they will all move at their own pace. It doesn't mean that the strategies that you use for the whole class worked, but you chose strategies for the small group, and that will push them ahead. Okay, so but the readiness, I want you to have these down, because the readiness for learning, which I would like you to remember, because I want you to take notes for this too, and I'm going to include that into in our midterm, is that you need to worry about the child. The readiness talks about, in the United States, we move closer to universal preschool, 3 to 5 year olds. Once they're in 5-year-olds, they've completed, they've met that birth date that they talk. I think it's still September 1st. Now we're moving into trying to get them ready for kindergarten, right? Unfortunately, America's children enter preschool programs at uneven levels. We've just said that. It tells us again in chapter 10. Significant learning and educational preparedness gaps exist at children entering preschool, and they're blaming it on economical status. They're blaming it on parents who cannot help their children at home, who are, because of the economical status, they're out working more than being at home. The wealthy people may have all the money, but they pay nannies, and the nannies maybe do not cover the basics that we would want them to bring with them. So everything, we just don't want to blame it on economic status, but most of it is blamed on poverty areas, and the lack of preparation for parenthood, all that stuff. And we can go into that. You see what our environment, our state, our city, our districts are suffering. We don't even know half of it. Okay, I want you to take into mind that we're talking universally, because children exist all over the world. And if you were someplace, you would be encountering the same experience I'm talking about. But look at what's happening today. If we're doing remotely with the children, and they're 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and getting ready to go face-to-face to school, how many of these poor parents are able to sit in front of that tablet and coach the child while the teacher is teaching them remotely? You answer that, because that's what's happening right now. So this chapter is telling us they come prepared at different levels. A parent who has 4 children, 3 children, or a parent who got home last night at midnight from working, tell me if that parent is able to sit with this child for 2-3 hours, with breaks in between that the preschool teachers or kindergarten teachers give them, and pay attention to that one child when she has 2 or 3 clamoring for his or her attention. But an additional thing is, they may not even know how to help that child, because they didn't get the education you got. You have early childhood education that is so unique to the teacher who's teaching 8th grade or 10th grade algebra or geometry. And these parents may not have what you have. They don't have the psychology classes, what you expect to know, what you expect them to know with that developmentally appropriate practice. So all this comes together with this. Okay, don't judge parents. It's very unfair to do that when we receive children with different levels and say, I wonder what those parents did. Well, now with the pandemic, it's not just this year, teachers of 2020, that our children will be behind one school year. It will be 2-3 years behind. Because if they don't do it, they forget. So 1 year of instruction lost, even though we hope they gain something. I was flabbergasted, teachers, when I turned on the TV the other day and they were showing us people sitting, when they brought back pre-K and the blended rooms, meaning that in those preschool we have the SICAs and the special needs 4-year-olds. The teachers were sitting, listen to what I saw, sitting and children with that tablet in front of them. Then they get enough tablet work when they were at home. I wanted to see these teachers interacting, moving around, getting those. Yes, not all of them. I did see some moving and showing, and the camera was showing them when they were promoting the classrooms. They were showing shiny classrooms. I wish I could pinpoint how many of the Southside schools had their floors and everything so shiny. And why were these two different times, teachers, not the same, sitting and children were looking at tablets? We wanted to get them away from that and interact with them. That's why we brought them to the classroom. So I have high criticism for mediocrity, for administrators who don't know what they should be looking for in their classrooms, but you know better. If you are sitting at a desk and all these children come with different preparation, please remember what I'm telling you. You're not an effective teacher. And get that tablet away from these babies. They spend enough time on it. 10 minutes is plenty. Now let's do our other activities. They did enough for a year. And that's why we're trying to bring them back. So anytime you see a teacher sitting and children facing a tablet, question it. I don't want you to be that type. Limit it. They have enough of this going on in their lives, okay? Interactiveness. Rapport should be building. Children should be talking and playing with each other and moving and learning from each other. And so it tells us that the readiness for learning in this country, on the other hand, some children will struggle to even learn essential readiness skills and behaviors, and they will continue to fall behind. Well, we do know that. They will continue to fall behind. We see it. So 1 year of being out of the classroom, 1 year, because March is 1 year. They have already fallen behind a year and a half or two, and that is a fact. So I do want to make sure that you understand this, and when you're done with school in 2 years, when you get these children, you will see the impact. So you will have to work triple harder, triple to bring them, and then you know and you prove that you truly are a teacher. And then it says, for example, we had here the District of Columbia identified early learning guidelines to direct teachers and programs. For example, Florida, because of the differences in preparation that the children came with, the Florida Early Learning and Development Standards for 4-year-olds cover the domains, and this should not just be for Florida, but they came up with this, the domains they want to cover. And what do you think will be? Let me hear one of you tell me. What are you supposed to be doing with the children in early childhood education? Let's begin with 3 and 4-year-olds. What should you be developing? Somebody tell me.
I don't know.
One area.
Cognitive thinking, fine motor skills.
Yes. And then what else would you be doing? Thank you. That's the cognitive development and fine motor skills. What else?
Word recognition.
Give us the whole child first. That's moving a little fast for me because that's the academics. Let's move into developing the whole child. What part of the whole child are we developing?
Well, their ability to use the restroom on their own, how to wash their hands.
Those are physical and emotional. How would you classify it? Physical development?
Yeah, physical development.
Okay.
Teaching them about feelings, like how are you feeling today? Like happy, sad, excited.
So that is language communication. Yes. Yes. How about playing? Social and emotional development, right? So let's list them for you. Physical development. So I want you to remember that. Approach me. We'll discuss that. Social and emotional development. Language communication. And cognitive development and general knowledge. You just gave me some general knowledge here. So let's go back to that. Physical development, approaches to learning, social and emotional development, language communication, cognitive development, and general knowledge. I'd like to expound on upon these. You told me the physical development is important. That's definitely, they're going to be moving, they're going to be having, what will bring them, it won't be complete. What are some of the aspects that will help us? You talk to me to help develop their physical development. Give me one or two, just so I can continue with this. Anyone. Give me some strategies that will help develop physical development, that will help with physical development. I'll tell you some. Movement in the classroom. Give me something else. No one?
Well, it can be doing what you call it? They break free time, and you can like recess, so like they can play activities, rip and run, seesaw, and climbing.
Definitely. Yes. Will their dietary provision help with their physical development, their meals, etc.?
Yeah, I was about to say that, Professor. Like, will their meals like encourage them to like eat healthy? Will that be like for physical development?
Yes. The child who's lacking nutrition is not just going to not develop physically, but he will not have the energy to sit in a classroom and learn, or to be in a classroom and learn, or to socialize. Very good. And then, so we have the exercise, the recess, the developing of gross motor skills, the development of fine motor skills. See, now we're going down to those details you gave me, but I wanted those headings first to be listed by you. So you have those now. And then we go approaches to learning. How do we cover approaches to learning? We just started today's class with importance of triggering higher learning thinking skills, right? That's an approach to learning. By us what? Questioning them. And questioning them beyond the when, where, and how. Question them and say, you tell me more. Wow, how did you come up with that answer? Just tell us. Those are approaches to learning. Approaches to learning is that you will use all 5 senses when you're teaching a lesson. Engage, I should say use. Engage all 5 lessons as you're teaching your lesson. All 5 senses as you teach your lessons. Am I making sense? Yes? You see how you will approach, this is approaches to learning. It told you that the only approach to learning will be to talk like you get in the universities. Lecture. Would that be a proper approach to learning for early childhood?
No.
No. Thank you. So you use all 5 senses. It's the best approach. If you ever have a doubt as to whether you're using multiple approaches, ask yourself, did I give them the opportunity to, they hear, so they listen. Did I give them the opportunity in the lesson to see? If possible, maybe they could smell, like you had the realia. Or was it able, or taste? You got to be careful with that, but are they able to speak about it? Express themselves? Are they able to do it? That's tactile. And you will be clear and understand that, yes, you did every single step. Engage them in what we call approaches to learning. Turn and talk is an approach to learning. Tell me more is an approach to learning. Echo teaching, echo reading, like I have taught, maybe if I missed this group with echo and choral reading, I thought I covered that, right? Do you remember? Anyone remembers what I meant by echo and choral? These are beautiful approaches to learning. Okay, since I'm not getting a yay, then I know that I have to go. Approaches to learning is not just the questioning technique, which I said, or the using of the 5 senses, or engaging the 5 senses. But when you would like to see if they're thinking or paying attention, you will have them do what you call the echo reading. So you say, as the storm came, we could hear the thunder. And they probably have a copy of the script. I just came up with that, but it could be less difficult. And And the students will be asked to say, as the storm came, we could hear the thunder. That is called the echo. They're echoing after you, which makes sense, right? Choral is when you say to them, now let's read it together. As the storm came, I could hear the thunder. Or my dog is black and white. Now you read that for me, and the children repeat it. It is echo. They're echoing what you said. Choral is, read it with me. My dog is black and white. Those are strategies and those are approaches to learning that we help children develop, and that helps with the cognition, which will be the last one that I mentioned.
That the choral was let's read it together, and echo was
you repeat it after what I said. Think of it, and that will make you not forget. The echo is after I say, you say. And the choral is you say, I say together, you know? And choral is a choir and everybody's singing in unison. I always have my students use this to remember. Choral comes from the el coro, or the choir. Everyone is in unison, right? So that you develop, that you generate what we call melody. Choral, chorus, choral. The echo is if you stood in a mountain and you yelled, or a hill, and you yelled out, the echo comes back to you. It is repeated to you, and that's what we use. And when these two terminologies were developed, they made sense. And this, we didn't hear much about this before 20 years ago. But I want you to remember that, because if you were taking your area exam and they ask you some of the strategies you would use to teach children to learn how to learn to read, you would say, I would use turn and talk, tell me more. I would use the echo strategy and the choral strategy, and you can explain those. You would be giving an amazing response. So I want you to think of why I'm bringing up the stuff in addition to your chapter, okay? Social and emotional, we know that. That's why they develop early childhood education. That's why they push for, not just for early childhood education, they want you to bring your children, to expose them to other children. Because they learn to get along. They learn to fail and succeed. They learn that it's a give and a take. It's a share. It's you take turns, I take turns. So all that is their social development. How they can learn to say please because you're role modeling, and thank you, and take turns in playing, and respect each other. Those are all part of their social and emotional development. But I missed the emotional emphasis. The emotional development a lot relies on you in the classroom. How you give that child credence and kudos, and how that child feels attached to you, and how that child does not feel intimidated. So that there you're developing his emotional development. Because if at any time, or maybe at home, he's feeling left out, or he's being put down by his siblings or by his parents, he comes to school, there has to be a balance in that child's life, and that he can feel that he is validated, he is a person, he is liked, he's accepted for who he is and what he can accomplish. So as they put the social and emotional, they're making us think that as long as they have the socialization, and I've always want to clarify, yes, they're put together. Even when they are giving classes in school, social, emotional, SEL lessons, I want to always disaggregate those two. Because yes, we hope that with socialization, their emotional development will grow. But they may be socializing the whole time. And if we are not cognizant of the fact that something negative is happening while they're either playing and rejecting, mean to each other, or not being guided by the teacher, that emotional part can be also hampered. How many times do we hear children come home and say, Mommy, they didn't want me to play in their group, or Susie said that I'm not her friend anymore. So we're constantly watching and we're monitoring and we're guiding and we're allowing them to problem solve, but we cannot let it just fall on them. And then the emotional has to be enhanced by you, by me, because every single child needs to see a smile on your face. You can be firm when they refuse to follow directions and on purpose, but every child wants you to give him or her a smile every single day. And now let's get busy and we're going to work. And I'm going to look very serious if I see that you're not listening. So, but I care about you. So you want to keep a smile on my face, right, students? Oh, yes, teacher. You have now set the platform for them to know that you have expectations for them and that you are going to be watching for their success and that they have to work towards it too. So we set that pace with those beautiful words for these little angels. They come to you so innocently, so needy, so vulnerable. Think about that. The language communication you will develop with the phonemic awareness that we talked about at the beginning, and you'll continue to hear that. The music, the poetry, the conversations, the reading, the acting, the drama, the whole thing will develop their language and communication skills. So will tell me more, develop communication skills? Definitely. Turn and talk? Definitely. Turn and talk and share out? Definitely. So remember I said use the 5 senses? Allow them to speak, to explain what they have just learned, or ask questions without being intimidated. And so that's where we develop the language communication, even when they're playing. If they're listening, don't overlook that. They're listening to music, they're picking up vocabulary, just like when you're reading to them. When they're learning poetry or any kind of literature, you're doing that. We're not connecting it with phonics yet. Know this, all right? The cognitive development. I always have worries about this. Many people become teachers, become tenured teachers. And if I ask them what is cognition and what is it that we refer to when we talk about cognitive development, the word cognitive makes you remember cognition, recognition, cognition. It's when the child or you, the adult, understand what is being taught to you to a point where it now has gone into your cognitive domain and it's waiting for you to use it for more complex learning. I cannot explain it any better. When you learned your numbers and you knew that 1 plus 2 will be 3, and if you take away 2, you will have 1. Those are all things you had to understand. You did it. You desegregated the numbers. You put the 2 apples, you put the pear, and then you gave the pear away, there were only 2 apples left. Any strategy you used, right? Once the child understands that 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, and 2 from 3 will leave 1, that's already part of his cognition. And it's in here ready to do his rest of multiplication and addition and subtraction. So we only use this iota for a break. Anytime a child learns something and understands it, it's part of his cognition. If you teach or think you're teaching and the child doesn't understand, you're just wasting your time because that child doesn't understand it, so it doesn't become a part of his cognition, okay? Cognition also, if I could help you remember, recognition means you recognize that, you know it, you remember it, and now you can do division, you can do quotient and know the difference between dividend and divisor, etc., because you already have the understanding, which is the cognition. And when does this start? Well, Frederick Locke, Frederick is his first name, he said that the child comes from tabula rasa, meaning empty slate, doesn't know anything, and an empty tablet. Well, they have discussed the fact that he may be wrong. He came with his genes. He came with what Howard Gardner says he inherited, his style of learning. We've talked about that. But the moment the child is in state, he is what? Listening to sounds. The very moment he suckled at the bottle, or whichever way he was being fed, or she's being fed. The moment the mother looked at that child and cooed, or the guardian, and changed the diaper and spoke, that child is listening, learning, and it's becoming a part of his cognition. What is not acquired, what is inherent, is what we talk about when we talk about genes and the multiple intelligences, which still the genes are there. Without the environment, it's going to stay late. So we don't know how much Locke believes that this is how many theories agree with Locke. So they're still questioning that. A child doesn't come with tabula rasa. He has the capacity and he has absorbed himself in his mother's womb. We don't know that, but those are the questions that we're looking into, and my curiosity is much as yours. So are we understanding cognition? In Spanish, reconocer, that would be there. Recognizing cognition. Do I know it? Do I remember it? If I can remember it and bring it out used, then that's what cognition is. And until it should properly, the skill you're teaching the child or the skill the child has acquired, it will not be part of his cognitive domain. I think I spent enough time explaining it the best way I could. I don't know if I got to making you all understand. Every time you read a book about education, you will hear the word cognition. And now I hope you understand it if you didn't before. Okay? Any questions? Any concerns? We want the child to build upon his experiential background. He has experience. He brought it to some. Whether it's the eating of tortillas, whether it's the eating of rice, the beans, the fish, whatever. That's part of his diet, his nutrition. But he also knows the experiential background. That he's spoken to at home, not yelled at. That he's not castigated, punished when he makes an error. Or is he? Is he shown a lot of love and affection? Or is he not getting that? That's experiential background. Is he exposed to conversation by the parents? This is one of the top levels they give us on page 291. Is he able to enjoy the outside because it's not dangerous to go outside? Has he visited museums? Have he walked the nature walks in a safe way with his parents and friends? Is he engaged in sports? Even the 3-year-old, 4-year-old, they're in t-ball. Are they able to use and kick a ball? Experience. Are they able to once in a while go to a restaurant? Well, when I grew up, restaurants were not popular. My mom cooked all 3 meals, and I don't think I missed out on anything. But the socialization is there. How does that help their background experience? Let me give you a cookie. They know that meal is given to them, and they can order from the menu, right? And they know that they will pay for the food, and plus a tip will be given. That's an experiential background for them. If they're flying, they know that some of them will have to have a passport. And what is the passport? And when to use a passport? The currency, if they've gone out of the country, they know that the currency is not American money. They're either using pounds and shillings, or they're using euros, whatever. Those are experiential, they're heavier ones, right? But the more a child has experience and brings to some, that's what we call experiential background. But it could be simple as, have you walked up a hill? Do you know what a ravine is? Have you seen the difference of a river and the Lake Michigan? What's the difference? Well, the river has a current and it's constantly going, and it can take you with it, whereas Lake Michigan doesn't, you know? Okay, so simple that. And so that's experiential. Do you have a puppy? Others don't. How do you care for your dog? Everything in their lives they bring with them, and they do have experience. They've heard thunderstorms. They know that when the clouds are dark, the rain will come. So that's what we talk about. We elicit from them their background. Then the next one is independence and self-care. We're helping them learn to take care of themselves, to become independent. Like you said to me, the use of motor skills. We're allowing them the experience. We're affording them the experience, not allowing. Language expression. They talk, we talk, they listen, they generate language. The academics is where now you will begin. Somebody told me learning their words and their sight words. Now we move them into that, but not before. Now they're ready for kindergarten. And that's where we begin their sight words. And you know, kindergarten has, it used to be 50 that they must know, or more now with Common Core. I know that at the end of first grade, they need to know 220 sight words. And we'll go into that in video class, or with one of your professors. The interpersonal, this is Howard Gardner. That's their social skills. The intra child is going to need more coaching. So you have the interpersonal and interpersonal. The shy, the timid, the one that doesn't venture out to mix with their group. There's nothing wrong with the child. It's just part of his inherited the Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence. So the interpersonal skills must be brought out, allowing the child, affording the child to have the ability or to have the experience of socializing. Impulse control, that's a big one. How do we teach them to control themselves? Do you get angry and you use your impulse and just strike out? Well, you're the role model. Do parents do this? They will emulate it. And then we tell them, control yourself. It's kind of not fair, right? They bring up examples, can sit still and listen. Well, I want them to add in the textbook the appropriate amount of time that reflects their attention span. You know, because if a child is told to sit more than 10 minutes and he's a 3 and 4-year-old, they are truly not early childhood teachers. And then, of course, learning how to share. That's a biggie. So when you see the 2-year-old saying no, mine, and no, even if he has 5 items and Billy wants to choose one to play, that child is going to have a fit. But that's the it and the people stage. They'll, with your guidance, you will play a game where you say, okay, Billy can hold this. And when I ring the bell, Billy will give it back, and you can give Billy another one of your toys. Or Billy, you have your amount of 3, and Julie, you have yours 3. And you talk with them, and slowly you're easing them into sharing, because it is a natural reaction for them not to want to share if they have 10 things on the plate. You see that commercial? I think you have, and I'm fascinated by it. There are 2 little girls sitting next to each other, in front of each other, and they put the chocolate in the middle, and then they talk about, if you like something, take a bar, or take one, and they both very smilingly take it. And then when the narrator goes, and if you like to share, you can have one. And one of them reached and took, and the other one was waiting and rocking like this, and the friend next to her handed it to her, and she had this smile. It's a beautiful commercial. Watch it. I very rarely watch commercials, but when it's with children, you can't stop. Things on Channel 7, and they're sharing, but it shows how the little girl paused, and she knew she doesn't like to share. I don't know what age she is, maybe 2, 3. But the 2-year-old will definitely react. The way, are you going to allow it always for him or her to have a tantrum, or you going to sit and play a game? You give Sally this, and Juan, you can give, vice versa, that impulse control. Physical and emotional health. How do we work on that? We talk a little bit about how we can help the physical and also the emotional. They come to you wanting to be accepted. Never ever let a child leave your classroom, teachers, without each one getting a smile from you, even if you had a crazy day and they tried your patience up the wazoo. Put that behind you as they're lining up to get ready for home. You're either playing a soft music or fun music, and then they're marching in line or whatever you do, and then you're reviewing, what did we learn today? And let's think of 2 things we can tell mommy or daddy or guardian that we learned today. And then before you say goodbye to them, even if Tuni gave you the worst time, you're not going to be mean to Tuni. You're going to say, me, I care about you. And I know tomorrow we'll have a better day. And that smile will send that child with joy in his heart. Remember, that's our job. And responsibility, moral and emotional, and moral and ethical. Approaches to learning, we talked about that, using different strategies that will get them where we want them to get to where we want them to go. Now, I'm trying to explain this chapter, applying it, so that we make it more practical for you. We have the impulse control, the attention, the interpersonal, the experiential background you will give them, the mental, emotional. However, observe children.
When do I go to
Listen
class?
to them.
35. 135. Yes.
See if it's a
Okay.
typical
Go away.
typical
Can I have
behavior
your
for
coffee
the
now?
age.
No.
For the age.
Okay, when you're done with class. Go away. Go away. Go watch computer in your room. No. That's mine. Go away.
Devote class time to instruct
Go your room.
children how to identify and talk
You
about
mean you go your room now? Go. Go watch computer.
communicate their emotions. This is necessary. It says help parents gain the parenting skills that they need to help their children. When you can't go and say you don't know how to be a parent, you're going to get yourself into big trouble. But if you give solutions to them of how you came around and help the child over a hurdle that he had today, you're teaching the parent. Sarah really got upset when she thought that Ariel tripped her. And after I had her talk with Ariel and Ariel talk with her, and I was listening in the background, they were able to resolve the situation, and Sarah knew that Ariel had not done it intentionally, and they both now are happy with each other. You know what? Just telling the parent that story, you are helping that parent develop parenting skills. A lot of ways you can do it without directly insulting parents, because many parents lack parental skills. And you never learn everything, no matter how you think you're the best parent, right? But many parents can use a lot of this. Do it in an incidental way. Readiness is never ending. All children are always ready for some kind of learning, depending at the level they're at. Schools and teachers, you and me, are responsible for the education of each child. I said it at the beginning. Readiness is individualized because whatever experience they have or not have, it is an individual situation. But you will make it a part of the whole child, and they will see and they will learn from each other. I like what they say. Readiness is a function of culture. Let's see how they explain that one. You have to be sensitive to the fact that different cultures have different values regarding the purpose of school. The process of schooling, children's roles in the schooling process, and the roles of the family and culture in promoting readiness. culture. Play will play an important part of how that child will learn. Not what the child will learn. You have to teach the what. How the child will learn. Can we discriminate between those two? This is what the standards say they must learn. This is what I must teach them. These are the skills. But how they learn it will be impacted by their culture. And notice I'm not even talking about IQ or their levels of intelligence. Readiness is a function of family income, maternal education. We talked about that. Parenting practices. Now, it's interesting that they said maternal education, right? I would have wanted them to say maternal, paternal education or paternal education. But we should also extend that to many children are being raised by extended family members, grandma, grandpa, tio, adopted parents, etc. So helping families get their children ready for school is as important as getting the children themselves ready for school. It's a two-way thing. Are parents ready to get their children ready? Very interesting. And are the children ready? And how will the children say, or you will say, yes, the children are ready, depends on the preparation the parents offer to them or able to share with them. I like these. Readiness is never ending. I'm going to summarize what I just covered for you. These headings, reading, readiness for learning, because I really, really want to include that in your midterm. I don't teach the test, but I do want to know that you have this in your cognition and that you're ready to implement this when you are actually in charge of those babies. Everything I talk about is what you will experience and you will hopefully know how to cope with it. Nothing is seamless. But teachers, you have the biggest job in the entire educational system, the early childhood preparation. Okay. Any questions from it, Mister? I promise, and I'm making a note that I will send a summary bullets of my chapter 10. So you can have that and you can refer to those. So let me see and call my names again, and then I will ask you if you don't have any questions or any comments. I am going to take that to mean that what I covered with you, you understood. Okay. All right. So if I call your name, you can actually, just kick off. Mandy, Alondra, Evie, Latoya,
Here.
Victoria, Yesenia, Diana, Sarah, Ariel, Hannah, and then you said Jensen couldn't come, right? Someone excuse Jensen from me today?
Yeah,
Yes?
Professor.
Who excused Jensen from me today?
He texted me, Londra.
Okay, then so I'm going to put excuse. All right, any questions from Ms. Muster? If not, you have a beautiful rest of the day. Please be safe, and then Thursday we'll be due for a lecture.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for sharing.
Bye.
Goodbye.